Welcome back, everyone. Sorry about that. That was not my fault. I don't know what was going on, man. The Streamyard just, you know, went completely gone. Um, I noticed that something was weird as I was looking at Streamyard, and it didn't look that way on YouTube. And then when I tried to refresh it, the whole site went down. It was super weird. Um, Tinfoil hat, somebody hacked it, decided to mess with it, or non tinfoil hat, just you know, too much usage. Kyle Rittenhouse thing is making people uh, go crazy. So Savage Hopper, no, but thank you. You're not a very supportive wife, by the way. Just so you know. Um, anyway, so so you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna open up panel for this one. Yeah. Yeah, I know I'm digging myself into a hole here. So but I'm interested. I'm interested to know what you guys think about this. Um now I let me do something real quick here just so you guys can check it out. Um Back when this happened uh last year, I did a video on this and I went over all of the footage, all of the available footage. I went over. And so I'm going to go ahead and share the link to that here. So this is back. I was definitely a little more wet behind the ears when I was doing this. Um, but the link for the video that I did on Kyle Rittenhouse when all of this first happened uh, is in the chat right now. So I encourage you guys to watch it. Now, my whole thing with this is that, yeah, I guess I could do a poll, right? My whole thing with this is that it's become political, and it was political from the start because the setting of this thing was political in the first place. I mean, the fact is, it was a riot. Um, and what's funny was it was a riot that was taking place that was supposed to be a peaceful protest, but it was not a protest. It was absolutely a riot. Um, Now, was it like the LA riots when Rodney King's assailants were acquitted? No, it wasn't to that effect, but it was bad. You know, it was still violent. So people trying to say that this was a peaceful protest, well, it just wasn't. I don't care what you say, it just wasn't. Um, and to try to put it on Kyle Rittenhouse that it wasn't peaceful, just plain inaccurate. It's just not true. Okay, so 1 second. All right. All right. The poll is now in the chat. Let's see. I believe this is self-defense. I don't think he should be charged with murdering anyone. That being said, he deserves something. I have missed the whole trial, so I'm not even sure of all his charges. I'm not sure of all his charges either. And I haven't really been paying attention to the trial, honestly, because I know it's going to make me mad. I know that's a weird reason, but I know it's going to make me mad. And the little bit of the trial that I've caught, I see this prosecutor just making this judge mad. So, let's see here. Wow. Okay. So 89% of you don't think that Kyle should be convicted. 11% of you think he should. Wow. That's big. 89%. 89%. So, yeah. And I'm with you on that. The fact is, yeah, he did. I didn't watch it all, but I saw some of it. The fact is the video footage doesn't lie. That's where I'm at on that. Because the fact of the matter is like the George Floyd case. When it came to the George Floyd, Derek Chauvin's trial, the defense could have painted all the smoke and mirrors and whatever picture they wanted to, fentanyl, blah, 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 blah. That doesn't change the fact that I watched a police officer stare camera phones in the face as his knee was on a man's neck for over 8 minutes. You're not going to tell me that had nothing to do with how this man died. He absolutely deserved to be convicted because I saw video evidence of it. I don't care what you say. I saw a cop kill another man. I saw this. So, and on top of this, you got this prosecutor who's it's funny because usually it's the defense that's trying to create doubt and paint, some weird picture and it's usually the defense that's doing that. But in this case, it should speak volumes that the prosecution are doing this. The prosecution is the one that's trying to, use misdirection with the jury. Now, to me, that's just funny. I laugh at that because that tells me a lot. That basically just sends the message that they're grasping at straws to try to prove their case, when it is on them to prove that he's guilty, but they're not doing that. And then my favorite part, because I'm just now kind of catching up on everything here, and my favorite part is, did I not see this prosecutor pick up that AR-15 rifle, put his finger in the trigger well and point this gun at the jury? Did I not see him do that? How is that not completely insane? If I'm on that jury, just out of principle, I'm ruling against this guy. Now I think now I think what's happening here, when it comes to a jury deliberation, what I think is going to happen here is it's probably going to take a while. And in a case like this, I think that it's a good thing, because I do believe it to be self-defense. That's where my opinion is. And it's not even opinion. It's not even opinion. It's fact. Go back and watch the video that I did back when this happened. And I put it in the chat. Make sure to watch it. It's about an hour and 30 minutes long. There's some political opinions of mine in there in the beginning. Ignore those. What's funny is my opinions have changed, though, because I wasn't exactly pro-Trump, because remember, there was an election coming up. It hadn't happened yet. So there was an election coming up, and I wasn't exactly pro-Trump, but I was definitely anti-Biden. but I was like, Trump's, I don't like him too much, but uh, I like him better than Biden. But this was prior to the debates. Okay, the debates is what made me finally change my mind. Here I am in this video telling you to go out and vote, right? I couldn't in good conscience do that after I saw the debates. I after I saw those debates, I was like, I'm not voting. I can't. I can't. Well, at least not for either one of them. But I couldn't vote for either one of them because they were both just it was ridiculous. I was ashamed of my country watching these two men. These are the two candidates that I have to choose from to lead my country, to be the leader of the free world. That these are my two candidates. So I was ashamed. Yeah, okay. Thank you. All right. Have a safe flight, Ramona. I love when people feel the need to announce their departure.
Time for me to unsub.
Yeah, I don't care. Thank you, Cherry. It is not an airport. You could just go. So yeah, I just did not like what either one of these the way that they were behaving. I just couldn't stand it. But make no mistake that this Kyle Rittenhouse thing, right? This Kyle Rittenhouse thing, the media is absolutely using this as some sort of political leverage. It's really, really weird. The fact that the liberal media is calling him a white supremacist when none of the people who were shot were people of color, none of them. And you clearly see the footage of him where they're asking him. First of all, they referred to them as militia. He never referred to himself as any type of militia. He came in there with a medical bag. This kid at the time was 17 years old and already a certified EMT. Why do you think somebody who would go out of their way as a kid to become a certified EMT, what would be his motivation behind that? If it's to say anything other than to help people, then you're a fool. There's the only motivation that a 17-year-old Thank you, Josh. The only motivation that a 17-year-old would have in becoming a certified EMT, going through the training, taking the course, taking the test, the only reason they would do that is to help people. There's no other motivation behind that. Nothing, unless it's to like impress a girl. Maybe, maybe, but that's far-fetched. You know what I mean? Makes no sense to me. Makes no sense that everybody's like, this kid just wanted to go out there and shoot everybody. He's a school shooter, basically, blah, 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 blah. No, man. There's nothing to indicate any of that. There's tons of footage from different angles. We live in a time where everyone has a cell phone and everybody's filming stuff. And of course, they're going to be filming stuff in a setting where things are going crazy, where people are acting nuts. Okay, did he? I don't know. Okay. But would you trust somebody? Now, I'm not saying that that's okay to lie about that. Oh my God, come on, man. See, this is what I'm talking about. He was an immature teenage vigilante. He needs to be held accountable, and I don't understand what is difficult about that to understand, honestly. I'll tell you what's difficult to understand about that. It's bullshit. That's what's difficult to understand about it. It's 100% utter nonsense. This kid is not a vigilante in the slightest bit. He didn't go out and start shooting people. People came after him. He defended himself, period. He was out there and he's being interviewed and he's saying, I'm here to help. I have a medical kit because I'm a certified EMT. Whether or not he lied about that or not, that's irrelevant at the moment as far as the point goes that I'm making. He says, I'm a certified EMT. I brought my rifle because I plan on going into harm's way if I have to help people. And if he's going into harm's way to help people who could or they may or may not be armed, well, it makes sense to arm yourself, especially if you have some training with that weapon, which I believe he did. There you go. Josh is saying, even if he was, the prosecution said the whole crowd were heroes. Are they vigilantes as well? It's an excellent question. Are they? You know what I mean? Like, are they? So, what do you call somebody who this is what blows my mind. When all this was going on, when I made that video months and months ago, right? When I made that video, there was this narrative going on that for some reason it was okay to smash windows of small businesses with bricks and take their property because they were somehow justified in doing so. That made no sense to me. Well, it's because they're angry. Well, okay. Well, organize and protest. Exercise your First Amendment right. Nobody's saying not to do that. We're saying don't smash windows and destroy small businesses who have nothing to do with anything. They might not even have an opinion on this case, on the George Floyd case. They may not have any opinion on it. And that's your American right to not have an opinion, to have an opinion or not have an opinion. That is 100% your American right. Why should a small business suffer? And you know what's funny about that? How many of these small businesses were owned by people of color, whether they be Black or whether they be immigrants from another country? How many of them? So don't tell me that it's about justice. Don't tell me that looting is about justice, because it's not. So for a 17-year-old kid, what state is this country in where it takes a 17-year-old kid to step up and say, I'm going to protect these small businesses? So for those of you saying he shouldn't have even been there, I agree with you. He shouldn't have been there. But thank goodness that somebody was. That's how I see it. Now, is he a hero? No, that's ridiculous too. Sit here and call this kid a hero. He's not a hero. I think that he has the makings of somebody who could be a hero, but he's he's got a good heart, but he's too immature to be heroic in any way. Yeah, and the cops weren't doing anything. The cops weren't doing anything at the time. There you go. When the police are defunded, I want the Kyles in the world standing with me. Free Kyle. Hashtag free Kyle. Yeah, my whole thing, and let me just touch on LeBron James real quick. Okay. LeBron James can eat a dick. All right. Because this guy, the biggest crybaby in the NBA, bar none, had the audacity to make fun of this kid, a kid who's standing on trial for his life for breaking down and crying out of guilt and trauma. You don't think that's traumatizing for a kid to be chased by a mob of people and then have to and be only alive because you had to use force with an automatic or with a semi-automatic weapon? You don't think that that's traumatizing to a kid? You don't think this kid every single day is struggling with the fact that he had to shoot somebody? Because I'll tell you what, There's a bunch of kids out there. Sure. There's a bunch of kids out there that fantasize. I mean, when I was a kid, man, I played G.I. Joe, you know, I'd be like 8 years old, running around my neighborhood, pretending to be a character in G.I. Joe with my friends. And, and I fantasized about shooting people. But today, I have no desire to even carry a gun. Do I think everybody should? Yeah. But I don't personally have the desire to. I don't sit there and think about, oh man, how cool would it be to shoot somebody? I don't think that. Not in the slightest bit. We watch TV as kids and we think about, oh, how cool would it be to fight for justice and use force to do it? We think about that, but we don't actually, 90% of us don't grow up actually wanting to do it. Yeah, cops and robbers, G.I. Joe, all that stuff, man. The A-Team. I sat there and I fantasized about all this stuff. You know what I mean? Doesn't mean, did I grow up and go out and join the army? No. I mean, so just because this kid, and he was showing all the signs of somebody who he's in front of a camera, people are interviewing him, and at one point he actually runs off and goes, he's like, they're interviewing him, but he's like trying to be okay with it, but that's not what's important to him. At one point he even tells him, hey, can you step back? And then he sees somebody in trouble and he goes, medic, right here, medic, who needs help, runs off to go help somebody. This is before any of all this stuff happened, any of the shooting took place. Like, all of this stuff is irrelevant, because when you look at the footage, it's plain and simple. He was attacked, he defended himself. He was attacked and he defended himself. All right, now that I got some people fired up. All right, let's see if anybody has got an overwhelming need to express their opinions verbally. Yeah, and then people are saying, well, he shouldn't have been carrying a rifle in the first place. Well, he didn't break the law. Turns out it's legal for him to carry a rifle. Do I think verdict will be in today? I'll be surprised if it is. I hope it is, but I'll be surprised if it is. I am just merely of the opinion that there's no way you're going to get 12 people to convict this kid. I just don't see that happening. The evidence is too overwhelming in his favor. Melissa Y, welcome.
Hello.
How are you?
Good. So I have watched the trial since day one. I live by Kenosha.
Hold on one second. Can everybody hear her okay, or is it just me? I want to make sure that your volume's okay.
Sure.
Oh, well, $400. If it's a hung jury, then he's that's it. He's done. He goes home. Okay. Josh says you're all good. Okay. Go ahead, Melissa. Sorry about that.
Okay. That's okay. So I watched the whole thing. I live by Kenosha. I do believe 100% it was self-defense. I watched every bit of every video of the trial. They dropped the illegal gun charge because the defense, which the prosecution should have done this in their job, because it's their job, measured the gun and he was legally able to carry it in the state of Wisconsin. 16 and up, you're able to carry it if it's under 16 inches, which it was. So that charge is now gone. So they can't even just use illegal gun charge, which I think kind of sucks, because that would have been one of the things the juror could have used instead of a guilty verdict. But the other thing is, I don't think the trial should have been held in Kenosha, because I think it puts fear in the jurors. They were not sequestered. People were videotaping them. People were following them. And they're going to, in my opinion, they're going to be afraid it's going to enter another riot. And that could affect their decision.
Sure. Hold on. Let me address this comment real quick. So Savage Hopper saying, I need to go read more about how a 17-year-old can carry a gun without a license or ownership for it. That's crazy to me, and the exact, in all caps, reason gun control is needed. Okay, let me tell you something right now. The only reason I'm addressing this comment is because she is actually proving my point. This case is not about whether or not this kid defended himself. This case is used as propaganda for the liberal media for gun control. That's all this is about. As far as the media covering this as much as they are, because they wouldn't otherwise, right? I mean,
Correct.
How many times do we hear, how many times is there a news story that doesn't make it past the local news of where it happens, where somebody shoots somebody else? You see what I'm saying? So now that this is, national news, and this is the biggest trial of the century all of a sudden, well, it's all about gun control. That's all this is about. It's gun control. Nobody cares about whether or not these people were victims of a shooting or not. Nobody cares about that.
No.
I'm not saying I don't. What I'm saying is the liberal media who's acting all bleeding hard about it, no, they don't care. This is all propaganda for gun control. That's all this is.
They should have looked up the Wisconsin statute law as prosecutors trying to convict him of this carrying an illegal firearm. That's all they talked about through the whole trial, is he had an illegal firearm. Then when it came down to the end of the trial, the defense had the gun measured, and it was in trial, and it ended up being legal, and that's why they dropped the charge. The prosecution should have done that way before they tried saying it was illegal through the whole trial.
Which really, when you know all the other facts of the case, that's the only charge that even had a chance of sticking, in my personal opinion.
Correct.
Because there's video footage. There's video footage of an abundance of video footage proving that this was self-defense. An abundance of it.
Yeah. And what I think upset me the most with prosecution is he was almost making fun of the rioting. Like, oh, Rosenbaum, boo-hoo-hoo, pushed a dumpster, dragged out a shed, dropped the N-word, wham, wham, wham. You're at a Black Lives Matter rally, and you just sat on the stand making fun of them using the N-word, as in wham, wham, wham. That was the whole point of what started as peaceful protesting. And you're up there making like Rosenbaum was a damn hero. He was a pedophile. But that wasn't in the trial.
No. Yeah.
Or that he got out of a mental hospital. They didn't let the jurors know that as well.
Yeah, I mean, and you see, it's really funny because he's screaming in Kyle's face. He's screaming in his face, and Kyle is obviously intimidated. Mm-hmm. Kyle's not a tough guy. You know what I mean? He's not one of, yeah, what's up? He's not doing that. This Rosenbaum kid is doing that to him, and he's just, and he's obviously scared. He's obviously scared, but at no point during that altercation, that particular altercation, did he raise up his gun and go, oh, I'm going to kill you if you don't get out of my face, which he probably had the right to do, but he didn't. Yeah.
And also the prosecution kept saying, well, did they have a bat? Did they have a gun? It doesn't matter what kind of weapon you have. You can kill somebody without having a weapon. You could kill somebody with your fists. Yeah. You don't have to have a weapon to kill somebody. And he was crazy all night. I mean, the one witness showed that was just down there taking photos and videoing. he focused in on him because he noticed Rosenbaum doing a lot of destruction. And I think that helped Kyle's case. And I think Kyle did great for his age on the stand against prosecution.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, I haven't been following the trial closely, just kind of getting bits and pieces of it. But yeah, it seems to me like the prosecution is just making themselves look foolish more and more and more. I mean, why in blue perfect hell would you think it's a good idea to point an AR-15 rifle with your finger in the trigger well
at the jury?
At the jury.
I almost fell over and died when I seen that.
What? Like,
especially when he was saying you don't point guns at people. And then that's what he did.
Yeah. And on top of that, with everything, dude, have you not been watching the news, dude? With everything that Alec Baldwin's going through right now because of it. Alec Baldwin is going through this out of sheer ignorance and stupidity. Mr. Anti-gun, Mr. pro-gun control doesn't even follow the first rule of safety when it comes to gun safety. You know, does it? I mean, check the barrel. Make sure the rounds that are in it are not live. If you're so against guns, right? If you're so anti-gun, wouldn't it make sense for you more than anybody else to educate yourself on gun safety and practice it religiously, especially if you're an actor who uses real guns on a set? In the movies,
and they did do it through the whole trial. They did check it every time, other than when he did that with the jury.
Other than the one time that he decided to point it at everybody.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was a good. I think I watched, like I said, from the beginning to the end. Every day I watched it, and they did not, without a shadow of a doubt, if I was on the jury, I would not convict him. Like, they made my mind up. It was complete self-defense.
Oh, my mind was made up when it happened. I mean, yeah. I had access to so much video footage that dictated this was clearly self-defense.
But there was so much more in the trial, so much more in detail than what you've seen, you know, what we've seen in the beginning. So much more that just even solidified it even more.
So Lisa McDonald saying the defense checked the gun. Well, I mean, what kind of look is that? You know what I mean? If it has to be the defense that checks the gun, not the prosecution, especially if the prosecution, for the purpose of effect, make no mistake, that's what that was, for the purpose of effect, pointed this gun at people in the courtroom. Right? So, but that effect absolutely backfired because you're pointing a gun at people in the courtroom, dude. You can't.
I think it was to put fear. I think it was to put fear in them, for them to feel what it was like.
But you know what it did? What it did was it proved the point that the gun is not something to be afraid of. The person holding the gun is what you need to be afraid of. So, you know, yeah, okay. If somebody points a gun at me, yeah, I'm going to be scared. But I'm going to be a lot more scared of somebody pointing a gun at me who is clearly not practicing gun safety as he does it in the courtroom. So, you know what I mean?
And in the one video with Rosenbaum, he was yelling, friendly, friendly, friendly. And Rosenbaum took after him. He pointed his gun, and he still lunged at him. If somebody pointed an AR at me and was yelling, friendly, friendly, I would back the hell up. I wouldn't chase him and go after him when you know you could be shot.
And
in my opinion, I would have done the same thing. In my opinion,
what does that tell you about a 17-year-old kid who uses the term friendly, friendly?
Yeah,
that tells me that this is somebody who has taken it upon himself to learn gun safety and gun training.
I mean, he was in the cadet program, so it's not like he.
Right. It's not like he was he's not some Columbine, you know, trench coat mafia, you know, running around with a gun. That's not what he's doing. This is a guy who this is a kid who felt that in his heart, this is the point. his heart was in the right place.
Mhm.
This is not that the only argument that the prosecution has is that this kid went out there all gung-ho with a vigilante state of mind, wanting to hurt people. But everything indicates to the contrary. Everything.
Agreed.
I wonder. Let's look that up. Let me see where the poll. Okay, the poll went to 83% no, 17%. Should Kyle Rittenhouse be convicted? 82% say no. Now 83% say no. It's jumping back from 82 to 83. 17% say yes. I'm gonna find. Let's see. All right. So this is long, but I'm gonna get an idea of it here. Oh, she jumped off. Okay. But we're gonna share. We're gonna watch the closing arguments here since we're talking about it so much.
Get a copy of, so you'll have a chance to look it over yourself. You don't have to memorize everything he just told you. I think it's no surprise that this is a case that there's a lot of noise and a lot of static surrounding it. So what I'd like to do at the beginning is crystallize it in a nutshell for you.
I love
Keep it as simple
that.
as possible.
He's saying noise and static, but the only noise and static is coming from the prosecution. The defense is saying it's a clear-cut case of self-defense, period. So you see how they gaslight? It's really, really interesting to me.
This is a case in which a 17-year-old teenager killed 2 unarmed men and severely wounded a third person with an AR-15 that did not belong to him. This isn't a situation where he was protecting his home or his family. He killed people after traveling here from Antioch, Illinois, and staying out after a citywide curfew.
Your Honor, I'm going to object. There's no curfew charge anymore. There's no gun charge.
Although he claimed
there's no charge, but and there has been some discussion about the lawfulness of the curfew, not in this case, but elsewhere. So it's there had been a curfew announced. That does not mean that it was technically lawfully a legal curfew, but there had been an announced curfew. So I'll leave it at that.
and it was a curfew that all the rest of us here in Kenosha were aware of, and I think most people.
This guy sucks, dude.
Obeyed.
Pompous ass.
Although the defendant claimed to be protecting a business that he wasn't familiar with, the actual killings in this case had nothing to do with that. And he also spent the entire evening lying about the fact that he was an EMT. None of the things that I just told you are in doubt in this case. So when we think about the defendant,
Okay,
I'd
so
like you to
so
consider
he
as you
lied
think
about being
this
an
case, what
EMT.
his true motivations were. Was this
He lied about being an EMT. All right, fair enough. All right. But now, did he lie about being an EMT simply to have an excuse to carry a gun? You know what I mean? Is that the picture that they're trying to paint here? Because, I mean, uh, you know, I could see. I mean, I don't see any excuse for lying about being an EMT, but I also don't see like the big deal about lying about being an EMT, unless when it comes to this case, is what I'm saying. Unless he went to go help somebody who had a potentially fatal wound of some sort, and then that person ends up dying because they trusted him to fix their wound, since he's, you know, saying that he's a you know, EMT. But again, he's not a doctor, you know, he's not claiming to be a doctor. So, I mean, I don't know. It's weird. It's weird. But I'm not seeing how him lying about being an EMT is really relevant to what we're talking about here. What's up, Mr. Harlan?
Hello. Hey, how you doing?
Doing all right. How are you?
I've been fine. Had one crazy week, and then I hear all about this, and I'm like, oh, I hope they acquit him because it's like it's kind of ridiculous. I seen the footage, it's like Jesus Christ, and then I see the prosecutors. What is wrong with you, man? Even my dad, he knows you don't aim guns at jerks. You don't do that. And when I saw that, me and my mother were watching this on the news, and I'm like, why do you aim
why did he
AR-15
think
at us?
that was a good move? You know what I mean?
Like, what
why
the fuck
did
is
he-
wrong with you?
Yeah. What? Why did you
There
think
could
that
have
was
been
a good
a bullet
move?
in
bro?
there. He could have shot somebody.
Let's
Like,
see
he
what
could
this
have pulled
indicates.
that trigger. Oh, I want to
Shoot
see this
unarmed
motherfucker.
people. Consider whether it makes someone a hero when they lie about being an EMT.
Oh God, come on!
I think
man.
all of us are familiar with someone who does the sorts of things that the defendant has done. They enjoy the thrill of going around and telling people what to do without the courage or the honor to back it up, and without the legal authority to do so. And when you think about the defendant's behavior in this case, contrast it with Anthony Huber,
I don't
a man
see how
who
the
was there
jury's going to
because
look at
he
this
knew
guy
Jacob
like
Blake,
he's not just
who carried
attacking a
his
kid.
skateboard everywhere,
You know what I mean?
and who rushed
Uh-huh.
towards danger to save other people's lives.
Oh, man.
So when I
this
talk
guy's
to you
lying
here,
out of his ass.
in my closing argument, I'm going to focus first on the murders that the defendant committed. Second, I'm going to address some background issues, give you some context, and talk about some of the things that I don't think are relevant to this case. And finally, I'm going to
Why are
tie
you
it
gonna
all
talk
into
about
the
things that you-
instructions
by
that
the
relevant
judge
to the
judge
case?
how many times? Shut up,
As
man.
prosecutors in this case, my colleague Jim Krause and I have tried to present you with all of the relevant evidence that we think you should consider in this case. And I told one of you in jury selection that at the end of this, you would be the expert. You would have all the information. You would be the one who would know all about this case and make that decision.
Dude, that kid.
And that's what we've
Let me
tried
tell
to
you
do.
something, guys. In the real crime community, how many times have we looked at somebody sitting in a courtroom and then looked at their eyes and we're like, dude, that person has
Right.
no remorse. They have
He's
no.
evil.
They have no life in their eyes at all. I mean, we saw it with Ray Daniels. We saw it with Old Guy Jr. We see it with Letitia Stock. I mean, Chris Watts. I mean, every time we
Oh,
see
God.
somebody, you know what I mean? Like, and then this kid, you look at his eyes and it's the exact opposite of everything we've ever seen
He
following a
looks
trial.
like a baby.
He looks like a baby. He looks like a scared
look at him.
baby.
Look at
It's
him.
crazy to me.
He couldn't hurt a fly. What is he gonna do? He's that
So let's go to August 25th,
straight A student.
2020.
What is he gonna do?
The defendant came from outside our community carrying a gun that wasn't his because he expected and anticipated violence that night.
Hello there.
And he pretended to
Dude,
guard what turned out to be an empty building
And
owned by
didn't the person that he shot that survived, right? His arm wound, right? Didn't
Yeah.
that person like admit to attacking him?
Yes, on
I
the
think he
stand,
did.
he
Yes,
Like-
he did.
said he pointed the gun. It was clear as day. He said when the defense was up there, he said, so when you pointed your gun at Kyle's head, that's when he shot you, correct? He said, correct. That should have been it right there. That was
So-
pure
so
self-defense.
this dude-
He
yeah.
admitted it.
Yeah,
Gage
right.
Gortzowitz, yep, he admitted it. He also lied to the police, never put in his report he had a gun, and to his civil lawsuit for $10 million, never put in that either. They brought up that he had a gun on him as well.
And why didn't he shoot him in the chest or in the head? If he's got training to do it, how did he manage to shoot this dude in the arm that was holding the gun? Because I remember seeing the footage. In the arm that he was holding the gun, he shoots him in the arm. A non-lethal shot. When
See, that
of all
never made
people,
sense
he
to
had the
me.
most justification of shooting right in the head or in the chest. If he had the intention of killing, he would have killed that guy.
Oh yeah,
And
right then
Gage's
and there, he should have killed him.
conceal carry license
coulda
was
did it.
expired.
Wow. Okay.
Mhm,
I'm pretty sure that's a felony in Missouri.
mhm.
Well,
I think.
this
I
is-
don't know.
Oh yeah, you live in Missouri. This isn't.
Yeah.
Yeah. This.
So I think it should be that for like every state. If your license is expired and you have a concealed carry, it should be that because you have a responsibility to keep that, renewed. Come on now. If you want a gun, you're gonna have to keep that renewed. Like, please do it.
I mean, yeah, but some states you don't even need. Like here in Tennessee,
No,
you don't
that's
even need a
that's scary.
permit to conceal carry.
I have one, but it's an open carry. I have a
Oh, I've
concealed
heard of
carry
that.
as well. Mhm. I'm
Let
in
me correct
Wisconsin,
myself.
so-
I think you do need a concealed carry permit here in Tennessee, but open carry you don't. You could just carry a gun.
Correct.
You could just carry a gun. It's all good.
Yeah.
Like, and I know this is gonna piss off some people, man, but I've openly said this. I mean, these are my beliefs, so I don't mind. If you unsubscribe from me over this stuff, I really don't care. But I'm of the opinion, man, that if more people carried guns, just simply educated themselves on gun safety and carried guns, there'd be a lot less mass shootings and public shootings.
Oh
There'd be a
yeah.
lot less.
Mhm.
Like, because if I'm a nutcase that's angry at the world and I'm feeling sorry for myself and I'm using the world, I'm using the way the world is as an excuse to be angry and go out and decide to shoot a bunch of people. If I'm living in a world where most people are carrying guns, I'm going to be a lot less likely to do that, because I'm going to be scared of getting put the hell down,
Mhm.
like that's just the way that I see it. People are less likely to open fire in a Walmart if most people in that Walmart are carrying guns.
There you go.
All right. What is Jackass doing now? Let me see. Did I pause it?
He is a jackass. The prosecution's a jackass.
And when they asked
And
Gage
as we've pointed
well,
out to you before, and
Sorry.
Jim will point out to you here in a second on the screen,
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say when the defense asked Gage, are you part of a group like Power to the People or whoever? He said no, but then he turned to the gallery and said, well, aren't members of your group here in the courtroom today? And they were.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
I always thought that guy.
So this
wore
looks
a
like some
wig.
drone footage.
Yep, it is.
the defendant turns as he's being pursued and points the gun at Mr. Rosenbaum. And then as he enters the area between the parked cars, he slows
Yeah, he's running from him.
and turns, and before Mr. Rosenbaum can
He's
even come
running,
close,
you idiot.
he fires at him, shooting and knocking him to the
Does
ground.
the prosecutor have any idea what he's saying?
No, he does. It just sucks.
No,
Like, he knows it's
he
self-defense.
And when defense shows the video, it shows that Rosenbaum threw something at him before
Now I'm
Kyle.
going to show you the slowed down
did that.
and zoomed in video of the defendant when he first gets there. And Mr. Krause is going to help me by directing your attention on the larger screen here to exactly where you will see the
Yeah, I
defendant.
think 16 inches is the barrel size.
Yep.
That's the barrel size. Because if that was the If that was the bore size, then yeah, you can't carry that. That would have to be on a special cradle just to move around. You wouldn't
But
be
in
able to own a
Wisconsin, they
16-inch
measured it,
bored
and
gun.
it was
I'm going to
legal. That's
replay
why
it a
they
few
threw
times
out
so
the
you can see
charge.
quite clearly that the defendant sets the fire extinguisher on the ground with his left hand and then brings his left hand over to the gun and raises it and points.
Yeah, we all know.
We all know, dude. Why are you telling us again? Yeah, I've never heard of a rifle with a 16-inch barrel, especially for an AR-15.
Dude, if I'm on that jury, dude, I'm just sitting there going, how long are we gonna sit here and do this? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If I'm in
Under Wisconsin
deliberation,
law,
I'm like, dude,
You're not allowed to run around and point your gun at people. This is the provocation. This is what starts this
you're
incident.
allowed to point your gun at
The
people
defendant
who are
rushes in
threatening your
and
life.
immediately points the gun.
Yeah, this guy's an idiot.
And as you'll see in a little bit, Mr. Rosenbaum doesn't take kindly to people pointing guns. I don't think anyone does. That's not unusual. No one wants to have the gun pointed at them, and no one wants to watch anyone else do this to someone else.
So wait, let's get the.
We have the gun. It is in evidence as exhibit.
So Mr. Rosenbaum doesn't like people points at him, understandably so. So that gives him the excuse. So what he's trying to do is flip it and say that
Yeah.
Rosenbaum was justified in going after him because a gun was pointed at him. No, dude. Common sense dictates if I'm unarmed and I have an AR-15 pointed at me and they're saying get away, I'm going, okay, you know.
Yes,
And
have the
worst case
smart
scenario, I
people
might be
away.
like, oh, you're a big pussy unless you got that gun, right? You know what I mean? Worst case scenario, I'm talking a little shit. But that's worst case scenario. Chances are I value my life enough to where I'm going to keep my mouth shut and I'm going to walk away because I don't know how unstable that dude is with that gun. You know what I mean? So I'm not going to taunt him either. I'm just going to go.
But prior to that, Kyle yelled friendly, friendly, friendly before that even happened.
Yeah. So what that indicates to me is if he's yelling friendly, 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 and Rosenbaum is this shitbag person that he apparently was, then he's looking at that as some sort of opportunity. And he's thinking, okay, since this guy's saying friendly and he's running from me, he's afraid to use that gun. So that
He's
gives
not going
me
to shoot
the
me. Correct.
that gives me the opportunity to go after him and attack him because he's not going to
Mhm.
shoot me because he's a pussy.
And he threatened him earlier in the trial. There's audio of him saying at the gas station, if I ever catch you alone, N-word, N-word, I will kill you. Well, guess what? He was alone.
Man, that is so annoying too, man. I gotta be honest. That's no off the subject.
Oh my god.
The N word alone is disgusting, you know. And then when there's these white people who somehow use what they believe to be this window of making it okay to use it in a general manner, it's not in a hateful manner. It's in a general manner, and they're just using it as slang to refer to other people, no matter what their race. It doesn't make a difference. If you use that word loosely, just like you do in whatever context that you use it in, you suck. All right, just don't use.
And the
that
thing
word.
is, he was there for a Black Lives Movement. So why was Rosenbaum, if he was there to be a peaceful protester, why is he yelling the N-word at a Black Lives Matter? That's my point.
Why the hell was
He's
he
yelling the
yelling?
N word. The reason being, like I grew up in Miami, right? I grew up in Miami, and there were, when I was growing up in Miami, there was it was very common to just generally use the N word, but doing it it was not in a hateful manner. It was not even in a racial sense. It's not even used in a racial sense. I'm not excusing it. That's why I don't use the word. What I'm saying is it was very common to do so. I had a friend named Mike. He's dead now, but I had at least half a dozen friends named Mike, right? But we referred to him. This is a fact. We referred to him to differentiate him from the other Mikes. If we were talking about him, we referred to him as N-word Mike because he constantly used that word. He would be like, and just to, like people say dude, like, dude, look at this dude. What the hell, dude? You know what I'm saying? He would use the N-word in that same context. And it doesn't make it okay, but at the time, nobody thought anything of it. And, so we actually, in order to differentiate him from anybody else named Mike, because he used that word so much, we referred to him as N-word Mike. And it's kind of ridiculous, but it's just how it was. It's just how it was.
I don't think Rosenbaum was using it that way as a friendly, though.
Nope.
I mean, he was like, mother effer, I'll kill you.
Well, right. No,
I
what
think
I'm
he was a
saying,
nut anyway.
but what I'm saying is, I don't think he was using it in a racial sense. Is what I'm saying. I don't think.
No, but you don't use that as even in a racial sense if you're at a Black
Oh,
Lives
yeah.
Matter movement.
No.
Is my
I
point.
completely agree with you.
know?
Not what I'm not disagreeing. What I'm doing is I'm explaining the context in which he was probably using it, and the irony of that is because for some reason, white people who use this term so loosely, for some reason they feel like they've got the card from Black people to use that word. They feel like they've got the card to use it because they love Black people so much and they want to be and emulate Black people as much as they do.
Yeah.
And so all of a sudden they get the freedom to use that word as much as they do. And it's like, no, you don't. You don't ever get to do that. And so we're talking about an idiot who was at a BLM protest, and in his mind is there.
I mean, he's a fucking idiot.
Representing,
you don't say that shit.
Representing white people who support Black people, but you know what I mean? Like, he's not doing it right. You're not doing it right.
No. And he just got released from a mental institution as well.
Oh, I don't think he should have been released. Oh my god.
No.
If he's that violent, no.
And then went to see his
There's all kinds of
girlfriend
reasons why people get released from
who
mental
had a
institutions.
domestic
First of all, if
understand.
it's state funded, if it's a state funded institution, then you can only be there for so long, unless you're considered a danger to yourself or others. And
Well, he lived
and
in a tent
and if it's
hotel.
you, well, guess what? If you have insurance, eventually, and you're an inpatient in these places, your insurance will eventually run out. The answer to 99 out of 100 questions is always money, people. So it's all in a budget.
Money.
So all kinds of reasons why he could have been released, but I guarantee you that the reason was somehow involved with money and not being able to pay whatever it costs to provide him with shelter there.
Yeah, they were living in a hotel, and he had a domestic restraining order with his girlfriend, and that is the first place he went, was to see her when he was released. And he couldn't stay there, so he went down to the riots. That was the trial.
So he's already angry.
I don't think the answer would be weed, cherry. I don't think that would work.
At this point, the defendant has shot and killed Joseph Rosenbaum, and Mr. Rosenbaum is laying face down. That's where he falls. Richie McGinnis actually rolls him over after trying to stem the bleeding here. You can see in the foreground that plastic bag that Mr. Rosenbaum threw on the ground. I don't think there's any dispute.
Now forget this asshole and what he's saying. Okay, let's look at the video footage and show what's going on here. He shoots this dude. Then he comes back, he checks to see, and he gets on his phone. Nobody else got on their phone. Nobody else was calling anybody. He got on his phone and he started calling someone. Then he runs away. Now, he's running away.
It was a clear bag containing
there are people coming back here that are saying, get him.
Then you can make that dispute in your argument.
Yes, because he said in the trial he wanted to help him, but then everyone started yelling, get him. And the guy who took his shirt off actually had a gun. He's the one that shot the gun up in the air first before Kyle shot Rosenbaum.
Right. So if I have a gun and I'm running and I hear a gunshot, I'm going to shoot the person that is acting the most aggressive towards me out of instinct, most likely, which was Rosenbaum. Now, was Rosenbaum armed? No, he wasn't. But if that person is attacking me and chasing after me, then I am going to fire my weapon out of instinct, most likely, at the person who's trying to attack me if I heard a gunshot.
FBI video. The defendant admitted that during this entire incident, he knew that Joseph Rosenbaum was unarmed. I'm going to come back to this in a little while, but there's this alleged threat that Mr. Rosenbaum made earlier in the evening to kill the defendant. I will debunk that. That did not happen. It is the one fact in this case the defendant wants you to believe that there's no video of. And in fact, I have the video of the entire incident. I've played it for you and I'll show it to you again. There's no threat. There's also no evidence that Mr. Rosenbaum ever wanted the defendant's gun. He never said, I'm going to take your gun. He never said, I want your gun. There's no indication of that.
You and your nice
Dr.
suit.
Kelly has testified that the first shot that the defendant fired at Joseph Rosenbaum hit the victim in the right pelvis.
It is a nice
fracturing
suit, though.
Yeah, it
Rosenbaum
really
was
is.
incapacitated.
It's a lot
at
nicer
that
than when I had at my
He is
only
seems-
ever
whatever
school
threat he
prom
might have
Seems a little
posed,
too nice
it's
for a
over.
guy with a,
There is no further
on
threat.
a
He is
on a
falling to the ground,
on a
and the
state's
defendant
budget.
doesn't stop
Uh-huh.
after that first shot. He tracks Mr. Rosenbaum's body all the way down, firing 3 more shots. A second shot, which goes through Mr. Rosenbaum's hand, and then a third and fourth shot, one that grazes the right scalp and one that goes right into Mr. Rosenbaum's back. And that is the kill shot. That is the one that took Mr. Rosenbaum's life. There is no evidence that Mr. Rosenbaum was reaching for the defendant's gun. And after that first shot, there's no way Mr. Rosenbaum could have taken that gun even if he wanted to. He is already falling to the ground. He is helpless. He is vulnerable. And as I said, the kill shot is the one to the back. This is that wound. Dr. Kelly testified that the angle of this shot was from the left shoulder towards the center of the back, and the bullet continued on down towards the right lower back area, tearing through bodily organs and killing Mr. Rosenbaum.
Yeah, like I love that this guy was just now
Here's a
saying.
picture
This guy was just now saying
of the wound
that
to the
he, at no point did Mr. Rosenbaum say that he wanted to take Kyle's gun or anything like that.
Yeah.
But he grabbed the gun. Does he have to actually verbalize it and say it? What about action speaking louder than words? If this guy is trying to take your gun, that means he's trying to take your gun. If he's grabbing the gun by the barrel of the, by the barrel, that means he's trying to take it. People are mind blowing.
Yes.
area suggesting that the hand was close to the end of the defendant's barrel of the AR-15 at the time of that shot. The defense wants you to believe it's there because Mr. Rosenbaum is deliberately reaching for the gun. Well, that doesn't make any sense. First of all,
What do you mean it's
this occurs after Mr. Rosenbaum has been shot in the hip and has got a fractured pelvis at that point. He is falling. He is not able to walk. He's probably not even
Didn't you
able to
just say
control
he
much
was
of his movements
grazed?
at this point. When you're reaching for that gun, this is not the way you're going to do it. This is not going to be effective. I submit to you, ladies and gentlemen, to the extent Mr. Rosenbaum's hand ever got close
the gun,
to the end of the defendant's gun, it was completely inadvertent, not at all intentional. Now, we've heard a lot about the Zeminskis in this case, and I just want to carve them out of this case right now because it's a red herring. It has nothing to do with any of this. There's been some focus on that because I think the defense was hoping they could work this into their self-defense claim and make an argument that that first shot by Joshua Zeminski somehow made the defendant fear for his life. Unfortunately, The defendant wasn't on board with that because in his testimony, he told you that that shot had nothing to do with his thought process. It didn't affect him in any way. He said he didn't think the shot came from Joseph Rosenbaum. He knew Joseph Rosenbaum was unarmed, and he admitted to me, you can't kill Joseph Rosenbaum for something Joshua Zeminski did. So let's just carve Joshua Zeminski out of this case. I'll deal with him on his arson trial in January, but until then, it doesn't factor into any of the decisions the defendant made. And in fact, as you see on the FBI video, the Zeminskis continue walking straight on down the sidewalk. They don't pursue the defendant. They don't threaten the defendant in any way. Now, the defense wants you to think Joseph Rosenbaum was there to attack the defendant. We'll never
This
know
prosecutor loves to talk
what
out of his
Joseph
ass.
Rosenbaum was thinking because the defendant killed him. So we're just guessing. But let's assume for a minute, yeah, Joseph Rosenbaum is chasing after the
What?
defendant because he wants to do some physical
Did
harm.
he just?
He's an
I
unarmed
went
man.
to go to the bathroom,
This is
and
a
now I'm
bar
seeing
fight. This is a
stills
fist
from
fight.
the movie
This
Roadhouse.
is a fight that maybe
being
many of you have
used
been
as
involved in.
evidence for- as-
Two people,
as a
hand to
closing
hand,
argument?
we're throwing punches, we're pushing, we're shoving,
What?
or whatever. But what
This
you
guy
don't
is an
do
idiot.
is you don't bring a gun
Born
to a
idiot.
fist fight.
You know they're remaking Roadhouse, right?
What the
With,
defendant wants
like
you to
Jake
believe
Gyllenhaal. about that.
is that because he's the one who brought the
My
gun,
dad don't like that.
he gets to kill. So I want you to contrast this, two different scenarios. One scenario where there's two guys who are throwing punches at one another like a bar fight. I think we'd all agree you can't kill someone. You can't punch the guy, knock him to the ground, and then get on him and strangle the life out of him. That's murder. So what's the difference here? The only difference is the defendant brought a gun. He brought his AR-15.
Okay, he brought a gun.
But
That's
so
okay,
what?
let's
He's got to come up
explore
with
that
this
for a second.
cockamamie
So here's
theory.
this guy saying this is his whole argument, right? Can't bring a gun, fist fight, blah 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 blah. Can't strangle somebody after you beat their ass. Okay, fair enough. Now Chicago being the most liberal, like it's crazy in Chicago right now. Like,
Oh, I've heard
There's
it. It's way worse
a
than St.
gang
Louis.
shooting, a
Jesus.
gang shootout, right? Both gangs shooting at each other, right? Nobody was charged. Why? Because it was considered like fair combat. Shooting in the
Oh
street,
my god.
and it was considered like fair combat or something like that. Look it up. It
Fair
happened.
combat. Oh, I've
Yeah.
heard of it. I've actually seen it. They were covering that in my local news, and I'm like, what the fuck?
Now in
That's
Seattle,
not fair combat.
it's kind of the same thing, but not when it comes to shooting. Like in Seattle, you can actually pick a fight, go out into the street and fight, and cops can't interfere. Like, you know,
Ooh.
it's a mutual thing. You could like be like, I'm calling you out, and you could, yeah, that's a thing in Seattle. It absolutely is, which is kind
So
of
I could just so I just thought of this. It's funny as hell. So I could just go there with my family. We all be wearing Blues jerseys, and I could just pick another fight with a crack. in the
pretty
tank.
much
Now, that
as
sounds
long as
pretty
they
fucking fun.
consent to fighting you. Yeah, yeah,
Come here. You want to say crap about my team? Come here, motherfucker. How about
absolutely. You
put
can
your shirt over
absolutely
the
do
back
that.
of your
It's
head and just go,
perfectly
"Bah,
legal.
bah."
It's perfectly legal.
There
Yeah.
you go.
Yeah. But the thing is why wasn't anybody charged in Chicago like firing a weapon
Yeah.
where a little kid could have got shot and caught in the crossfire?
Yes.
You know what I mean?
People
So,
don't think about that. I bet.
dude, it's insane. It's insane what's going on in the
very
world right
insane.
now.
Person, by the way, they probably had never even met before. Because that's what most people do. Richie McGinnis testified. I rode with Rosenbaum in the back of that SUV. I told him we'd have a beer together when this was all done. Mr. Rosenbaum was unable to respond.
That's because he was dead.
Yes, he's
The
dead.
defendant
We can't speak to the
decided
dead, so why
to
is
pull the
this idiot
trigger
bringing
on
it
his
up?
AR-15 4 times. That was his decision. And he is responsible for every bullet that comes out of that gun. He doesn't get a pass by pulling the trigger fast. He could have chosen to stop after the first shot, after the second shot, after the third shot.
He could have
And
chosen to
assessed
stop
whether or not
and then
there was
gotten
still
mobbed.
a need to keep firing.
Gotten lynched
Yeah.
by a
So he
mob.
went 4 times in 0.76 seconds.
Yes,
The defense has made a big
yes.
point of this, how fast he fired, as if that somehow excuses him. Exactly the opposite, ladies and gentlemen. He controls
Probably would
how
have taken
quickly
his
he
clothes
pulls the
as
trigger.
well, mugged
He
him,
is in
and then
control
killed
of
him.
that
Well,
decision-making
he'd
process.
probably already be dead. So yeah,
No one else
there you
made him
go.
do that. And this is indicative of someone who doesn't care about the consequences, doesn't care to stop and figure out, am I good? Do I need to stop? Or I'm just going to keep on going. And as I said, he
Dude, there was a
tracks
mob
the body
chasing him.
all the way
Come
to
on,
the
man.
ground with those second,
Come
third,
on,
and fourth
prosecutor.
shots.
There was a mob of irrational idiots.
only
chasing
way
him.
That you could possibly justify the murder of Joseph Rosenbaum is if you believe that Joseph Rosenbaum was actually reaching for the defendant's gun, and that a reasonable person in the defendant's position with that AR-15 strapped tightly to his chest would think that Joseph Rosenbaum was even capable of taking that gun away as he's falling to the ground with a fractured right pelvis.
That dude pees.
And then,
I
not
guarantee
only
it.
all that, you'd also have to believe that Joseph
Yeah,
Rosenbaum
he
was going to
fractured
turn
his
that gun
pelvis.
around
That's gonna
and
be
use it to
quite a
kill
long time
the
of
defendant.
healing, perhaps a surgery too, and a lot of physical therapy. I've had physical therapy, and it's fine. But him, it's going to be more intense. That's my guess. If he were still alive, that is.
Hey,
And a lot of money,
buddy,
too.
it's your boy Gary. Gary's in the house.
Hey, it's fucking glare.
Fucking glare.
Man. Fucking glare over here.
What's up, dude?
It's your bot, Gary, apparently. I fucked up my spelling.
You bought Gary.
I've done that.
So how far are we in on the prosecution bullshit?
I mean, I've never listened to
Oh.
it. Like, I saw clips and bits and pieces of this dude pointing a gun at the jury.
As soon as
But
I seen that, I
listening to him,
turned
I'm
it off.
realizing, I'm like, this guy's got nothing. This guy's
Yeah,
got
no.
nothing. He's just making crap up, like
He's
trying
making
to
shit
convince.
up. Lots of
Yeah,
it.
he's just trying to convince the jury of things that just aren't a thing. You know, he's just trying to say something's blue when it's clearly red. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And
He's got shit.
that was not a political thing. It was just a general example.
Yeah.
Keely says to turn
literally-
your mic up.
Can you hear me all right? I turned it up a bit.
I can hear you okay.
Okay, that's cool.
I can hear you just fine.
All right, cool deal. If everybody else in the chat can hear me, give me a 1.
Well, Lindsay, I'm listening to everything that he's saying. If you notice, I'm rebuttaling everything that I hear him saying. Now, we're not listening to every single word, but yeah, I mean, I'm hearing what I'm hearing. So,
Oh no, I've seen the whole thing. So we as we go, I can put in my little 2 cents, give you my
look at
detailed
Look at him.
analysis.
this kid is scared out of his mind.
Yeah.
Look at him right here. He's scared out of his mind. It's crazy to me.
No, absolutely.
Here.
I mean, this is honestly.
So I had been talking about the murder of Joseph Rosenbaum. And as you can tell, I'm trying to go in chronological order. I'm trying to
Do you
go
picture
through
that kid in prison?
events in a way that
No,
makes the
no.
most sense.
I can't. With real killers, I can't.
Oh,
no.
no. Someone's gonna try and kill him. Oh, either
I mean-
that or break one of his eye sockets, blind
Yeah,
him.
Come
Oh.
on, man. Yeah.
I mean, I know we're
this
listening
is-
to the prosecution right now, but let's just get back to the butt of the case. Basically, this kid, he was there trying to help the community. He was scrubbing graffiti off the walls of the high school. He went there to provide protection for this business that the business owners gave him permission to. Well, it wasn't him. It was one of his buddies. And he said, okay, I got a couple friends I'm going to bring with me. And he gave them the go ahead. And he was there to provide medical aid too. I mean, yeah, sure, he lied about being an EMT, but so what? He was still
Right.
helping
I don't
people
see
out.
how that's really that relevant.
Yeah, it's not.
I mean,
It's not.
it goes towards some credibility, sure. I get that, but
Sure. Yeah, but he wasn't crossing state lines. His dad lived in that area. His
right.
best friend lived downtown.
Yeah.
He was there all the time. It's like 15 minutes away from where he lives.
Yeah, so he wasn't out just looking for action, you know, like he
No.
it can be argued that he was out there
Yeah,
with a
he's just a
sense of
young.
community. Like he has a sense of community that that's his area. That's where he's from. It's where his dad lives. It's important.
Absolutely, absolutely. So he just wanted to help. You know, he was a young kid. He got hyped up, and he was like, "I want to protect my community." You know,
Yep.
even though he doesn't technically live there, his dad lives there, and he's there all the time. It's still part of his community. You know, wouldn't you do the same? You know, if you were a
I'd like to think
17-year-old
so.
kid and hyped up and just, you know, I mean, I wouldn't want to put myself in harm's way, but he was there putting out fires. You know, that's
Like
why he had the fire extinguisher. He ran 2 blocks down, put out a small fire, and then the prosecution says, "Oh, it's just a small fire." But then they say that the defense says, "Oh,
maybe it
yeah,
was just a
well,
small fire because he got to it in
but
time and put it out.
exactly, because a small fire will
Yeah.
turn into a big fire."
Right.
But and then he ran 2 blocks back to try to help whoever needed help. Like, and he was
Dude,
look at
sitting
his
there
there walking
face.
down the street screaming medical, medical, medical. He's
This
still
kid
having
is clearly
PTSD.
traumatized.
That's a face of
He's
PTSD
traumatized.
right there.
Yeah, totally.
Listen to these nutcases screaming. Music. I hear nutcases. I see this at work. Idiots. I hear them.
Look at the prosecutor. He knows what he's looking at. He knows
The
what he's looking at.
prosecutor's like all he's doing is showing evidence.
You want to talk about medics? You want to talk about people who care? You want to talk about people who are there trying to help? You just heard them and you just saw them. People who didn't know Joseph Rosenbaum.
Oh, God.
They just knew somebody needed help.
That dude pays hookers to pee on him. Like, look at him. Look at him.
And while that's
I
going
think
on,
they do more than that.
the
I think
defendant
he also
flees,
pays them to stomp on his moles.
That's what
callously
I'm saying.
disregarding the body of the man that he just shot and killed.
Oh.
And as he's running off, he's lying to the crowd about what just happened. This is exhibit number 12.
So there was just like 6 shots. It went off.
Look, he's trying to run away.
Yeah. He's running away.
Yeah, the defense.
The defendant says he pulled a gun.
No, the other guy behind him pulled the gun.
That statement, he pulled a gun, was a lie.
Wasn't a lie.
It's not true. The defendant knew it wasn't true. He's lying to the crowd as he's running away.
No, the prosecutor's a
Joseph
big
Rosenbaum
liar.
didn't have a gun. The
He
defendant knew he didn't have
heard
a
a
gun.
gunshot.
Yeah,
The defendant is lying to save his own skin.
the dude that was
Instead
hanging
of
out with
going and trying to help the
Rosenberg.
person. that he has just shot.
Had a
and killed.
gun in his
Bomb.
hand.
In
Yeah.
exhibit number 3, Gage Grosskreuz's Facebook Live video, he tells a similar lie. As they're running, Mr. Grosskreutz asks the defendant, "Did you just shoot someone?" And the defendant says something about the police and then says, "I did not shoot anyone." And this is similar to the lie that he told Jason Lukowski at exactly that same time. As he passes Mr. Lukowski, he says, "I did not shoot anyone." And that was established through Mr. Lukowski's testimony. And again, I think it's worth emphasizing at this point
So what
that
is he
Jason
supposed to
Lukowski had just
confess
met the defendant
to a mob that's trying to kill him, that's going after him and trying to hurt him, looking for an excuse to string him up? You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, if I'm running for my life and people are saying, "Did you shoot somebody?" and they're looking to get somebody who just shot somebody, I'm going to be like, "No, I ain't shoot nobody, dude. I'm You know what I mean? Like, I'll talk to the cops, but I don't have to answer to you. Who are you?
No. Who are you? Yes.
Exactly.
I don't have to
Yeah.
answer to you. I only
And
need to
did
answer
you
to
guys
the
see
cops.
the
night.
where
Mr.
he
Lukowski got there.
did you see where he took the
Burns
stand and he
before Mr.
cross-examined
My
them?
bad.
Has been shot. Live or capable of being saved, and yet the defendant offers no assistance, makes no attempt to try and help anyone else. All he cares about is himself.
Dude, he's running
We
from
have taken
a
that
mob.
video
What are you talking about?
and we have broken it down into individual frames. And I want to take you through frame by frame the incident with Gage Grosskreutz, because a lot has been made about Mr. Grosskreuz's motions and what he does and where he goes and things like that. So I think it's helpful for us to take a look at this. So this is Exhibit 80, beginning with frame 356. At this point, you can see that Anthony Huber is staggering off after being shot in the chest. The wound has entered his lower left rib cage and has wound up almost exiting near his right shoulder. It has ripped through his ribs, his heart, his aorta, and he may not technically be dead, but he's going to be dead within a few seconds.
But
He
this
is
is after
stumbling
he
away.
smashed his neck with
The
a
defendant
skateboard.
has the weapon pointed towards Gage
Yeah, this is
Grosskreutz, who is cowering,
He hit his
Hovering,
neck any harder with that
hiding,
skateboard. He'd be
covering
dead.
his head, trying
All
to
of
stay out of the way.
these people are going
And I'm going to go
after
frame
him.
by frame.
Look at this. All these people are going after him. Kyle Rittenhouse is on his back.
Exactly.
He's on
That's
his
the
back.
most vulnerable position you could be in. Being
Totally.
attacked by
And
a
if
mob
I've got
like
a
that.
rifle and people are coming after me, I'm on my back. I'm shooting, dude.
Well, hell yeah. And I just got hit in the neck with a skateboard. I got kicked in the face by the dude they call Jumpman.
Surprised he
they
didn't
never-
have his nose broken.
I don't
get
know
hit
if
in the
anybody
face.
here has
The
ever
first
been
guy-
hit with a skateboard, but it
Oh,
hurts.
yeah.
A lot.
Yeah. I used to skate
It
a
hurts
lot.
a lot.
And I've hit myself.
Now in Miami, I've never been hit with a skateboard, thank goodness. But I when I was growing up in Miami, I hung around all the skaters, and sometimes people from different cliques or whatever would come around and try to cause trouble. But a skateboard is a hell of a defense weapon.
That's one
know what I mean?
weapon right
Yeah.
there.
Like
It's a plank of
hell
wood.
an offensive weapon too, but we never looked for any trouble.
Yeah.
We never looked for any trouble, but you better believe that if trouble came looking for us, those of us with skateboards were swinging our skateboards around going, dude, you don't want to get hit with this, I promise you.
Yeah, you got metal trucks on that thing, man.
Dude, yeah. And you use the metal
Metal.
trucks as a handle.
As a
basically,
handle.
to swing the rest of the like you get a good nice grip grabbing the trucks of the skateboard.
Exactly.
You're gonna use it if that's all you got.
Like, man,
Now-
I remember when I was a young kid, man, I was trying to first learn how to ollie. And I was trying to ollie over this curb. And my back wheels hit the curb. The skateboard came up, popped me in the lip, and busted it.
Sure.
Skateboards can do some damage.
Right. The wood on the skateboard is built to last. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it's dense as hell. that wood on the skateboard is otherwise people would snap their skateboards in half every time they tried to do a trick.
Good one,
Exactly.
Terry. That's one weapon right there. Yes.
So this dude coming over his head and trying to hit him with the skateboard, you know what I mean? Come on, man. That's
About to retreat. His hands
Yeah.
are in the air.
And
He's
here's the
backing
thing,
away
too.
from the defendant.
Real quick, before
Until,
you
as
keep playing
he's
that.
testified,
My bad,
Go
man. I
ahead.
don't mean to cut in, but the first
No, you're
time
good.
the guy with the skateboard came and swung it at his head, Kyle had the wherewithal to see it coming, put his arm up and block it, and the skateboard went flying. And then that guy
Surprised I
went
didn't break his
back.
arm.
He ran back to go grab the skateboard and then attacked him again. Tell me he's not acting in self-defense.
Of course. It's crazy to me.
his left arm forward. The gun is not in this hand. The gun is in his right hand. He's lunging forward, reaching for the defendant. Probably
Here's
reaching
this
for the
dude.
gun. Probably trying to
He's
block
got
the
a gun though.
You can see now he's going to take a step with his right leg across the defendant's body. Not directly towards the defendant.
Now let's find out. Okay, what he's doing, he's talking about, he's going frame by frame about the dude who actually came at him with a gun. This is the one dude that he shot and he didn't kill. Okay.
Mhm.
Now I'm curious as to see if this prosecutor even acknowledges the fact that he didn't fatally shoot this guy. He shot him in the arm and in the arm that was holding the gun that was coming at him. So
Exactly.
I want to see if this guy even bothers to acknowledge this.
But across the defendant's body, as he's reaching in, almost swiping away at that gun with his left arm, he has bladed his body in such a way as to try and present as minimal of a target as possible, which is probably what saves his life. His right leg is about to hit the ground here. The gun, the AR-15, is pointed directly at him from just 2, maybe 3 feet away. He's trying to shield himself with his left arm. And as we approach for frame 500 here, the gun goes off. At no point in this process is Mr. Grosskreutz pointing his gun at the defendant.
Yeah, that's because he got
Frame
shot in the arm
499.
with the arm that was going
The
to.
gun is just fired.
Yeah.
Frame 500, you see the puff of smoke. 501, the bullet has hit Mr. Grosskreitz's right bicep, severing it.
Good.
I'm going to continue forward after this because you can see
That's a damn good
that
shot.
his right arm, this is an
I mean, what do
interesting
you
frame right
expect
here,
if you aim a
504. You
gun
can
at
see that
someone?
gun.
Damn good
I'll go
shot.
back even more. You can see that Mr. Grosskreitz's arm with the right hand with the gun, his right hand is pointed off to the side. What pulls that gun down closer to the defendant is the fact that
So I
Mr. Grosskreutz
believe
just had his
Kyle
right bicep
performed
severed.
what is called,
It's not a
when it comes to
voluntary
police,
action.
a
It's an
neutralizing
involuntary.
shot.
The muscle is severed. Now watch. Frame 502. Watch his right hand. 503, 504, 505, 506, 507, 508. At this point, yeah, absolutely. That right arm is probably dangling down towards the defendant.
Absolutely. What?
It's not going to be able to pull that trigger without a working bicep muscle, and it's not a voluntary thing. It's done because the defendant just blew his arm off.
It's done because the
Damn,
defendant
yeah,
blew his
this
arm
is the
off
time after the shooting,
so he
when,
doesn't
yes,
get
the gun
shot.
happens to be pointed at the defendant.
Exactly.
And I got to stop here
Prosecutor
He didn't
just
blow
said
his arm
to
off.
highlight the hypocrisy of the
He
defense.
shot him in the arm. He
Because
didn't
according to
blow
the
his arm
defense,
off.
if someone has a gun, they're a
If you want
threat.
to blow
If
his arm
someone
off,
points
use a
a gun, they're a
shotgun.
threat.
There you go.
There's only one exception
Yeah,
to that.
dude. He acts
The
like
defendant. By their logic, he gets to run around with a gun all night. But, we're not supposed to take him as a threat. He gets to point the gun at everyone. But, we're not supposed to take him as a threat.
this guy sucks.
Doesn't work that way. The same set of rules.
Hey,
to the
Mr.
defendant as
Prosecutor,
everybody
what
else.
drugs are you taking?
no exception in the law
lie
for
out of your
Kyle
ass
Rittenhouse.
this bad?
There's no exception that
God.
says if anyone else has a gun, you're a danger, except for Kyle Rittenhouse.
He's
There's no
using
exception in the law that
something
says
about
if you
Mary
point your gun
hair
at people,
product too.
that makes you a threat, and I can kill you. Except for Kyle Rittenhouse, I
I
can do
don't
it all
think
night
it's hair
long.
product he uses just to get his
The
hair
same
all night
rules
like that.
apply to him
Nope.
as everyone else, and everyone else has a right
It's
to
definitely
defend
not
themselves
glue
also,
either.
not just the defendant.
Those guys full of shit, man. He's
All right. Let me see if I can get to the. Where's this guy?
But this whole case, though, like you said earlier, Blair, I was listening in.
We have
It's
shown you
all
photos
propaganda, man.
and
It's all
videos
about a
of
narrative.
Gage Grosskreuz's
Gun control.
injuries.
That's all it is. I mean, that's all it boils
With
down
a
to.
pen to blow the guy.
It boils down to it boils down
Oh,
to,
my God,
to a
Terry.
gun control propaganda issue. And that's fine. I'm not faulting people for having an opinion. You know what I mean? But
No.
but
You can
why
always have an
use
opinion.
why use this kid? You know what I mean? As fuel for your agenda. This is
No.
this
Don't.
Using him
is,
as the
whether you
patsy.
like it or not, this is an innocent kid. He is a kid. Whether you like it or not, he is innocent. He's not somebody with any malicious intent whatsoever.
Yeah.
Could he have made better choices? Probably, but I mean, he's a kid. Kids make bad decisions. Is he a shitty teenager? Probably. Most teenagers are shitty. You know what I mean?
Oh,
They just are, dude. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. But
should he
here's the
be on
thing, too.
trial for beating up a girl? Maybe, but that's not what he's on trial for here. You
But
know
here's
what I
the
mean?
thing also. They asked for his phone. He gave it over to the FBI. They're trying to say he's part of some militia. He's a white supremacist and shit like that. But he turned over his phone. They couldn't get into it. He gave him the code, the passcode to get into it. He wasn't hiding anything, and they couldn't find anything
Nope.
in his phone whatsoever.
And since when do white supremacists shoot other white people?
Right.
Exactly.
That's my whole thing. Is like, how are you trying
white
to?
supremacist? Why would
making
you
it a
shoot
race
other white
thing?
people?
The liberal media is like doing a horrible job of getting their message across here. They're not making any sense at all. They're just making they're making themselves look less credible by doing this. I understand having an agenda. I'm not saying that I agree with it, but I understand. I already accept the fact that the liberal media has their agenda and the conservative media has their agenda. I'm perfectly aware of this.
Sure.
But
tell the truth.
But you know what I mean? Like, do a good job. At least make it believable. You're basically trying to say that we're all stupid if you expect us all to believe that this kid is some white supremacist for hire. It's crazy to me, man.
Nah, it's ridiculous. It's stupid. I mean, they have they have no dog in this fight, man. They really don't.
And here's the thing is, there's comments like this, and I want to be clear about that. They're saying he killed a pedophile, the dude deserved it. Okay, but that's not the question here. The question here is the fact that it is, because the fact is that he didn't know that. Kyle Rittenhouse did not know anything about this guy. He didn't know anything about his past. He didn't know anything about him. All he knew was that this guy was coming after him in a very threatening manner and not letting up.
Exactly.
And so he defended himself. That's the question here. That is the facts of this case. It has nothing to do with anything else. All of that other stuff, whether or not he deserved to be killed or whether or not, it's not our place to say. I don't believe that it's our place to play judge, jury, and executioner. I have the opinion of certain things happen to certain people, and if they happen, so be it. It's the way of the world. I am nobody to judge how God decides how things happen. What I'm saying is that's irrelevant to what we're talking about here.
Yeah.
Self-defense it's just boils down to self-defense, nothing else.
Exactly.
It's self-defense at the end of the day.
Right.
And he's
Absolutely
a kid.
Is. Yeah.
Look at
He's
him.
a dumb kid, but he was trying to do some good. Shit just hit the fan, man. It just went south. But even like the what do they call it? Prosecutors was trying to say that he shot him in the back. He got hit in the back, but he didn't shoot him in the back. The way he got hit in the back was when he was lunging at him, and the bullet went here and came out his hip.
Huh.
So they're trying to say that, he shot him in the back. No, that didn't happen.
Right. The
He
dude
got
was
hit in the
coming
back.
after him
He
the
was
whole time. He
lunging.
was coming. At no point was this guy running
Yeah.
away from Kyle Rittenhouse.
No.
At no point.
He was lunging at him. He grabbed the barrel of the gun. That's how the soot got on his fingers. Bullet went through his hand. And then as he was going down, he got hit in the back right here. Boom, came out his hip. So does that sound like he's trying to run away? I don't think so. Kyle was defending himself.
I would agree with him, like, getting therapy, because it's like we saw him cry on the stand. It's like, dude, this guy's traumatized.
Complete PTSD
Now,
right there.
okay, let me be as impartial as I can be,
provide,
because I think, of course, like, make no mistake, I guarantee you that his attorney was like, don't be afraid to cry on the stand. It's going to be a good look. You know what I mean? You want the jury to like you and feel sorry for you. So that's going to be a good move if you do that. I guarantee you that his attorneys did this. But I think that his tears were ingenuine? No, I don't. I'm not buffering. I don't think. Am I buffering to everyone else?
No. You were a little bit earlier, but you're good now.
And the doggies.
But look, when I'm reading his body language, and when he's talking and he's starting to cry, you could tell that he's trying to hold back his tears, trying to be professional. Because some people say they were crocodile tears, whatever. He wasn't really crying, but there was another channel that zoomed in on his face during that time, and there was an actual tear coming down. And when people try to hold back tears, they hold their eyes tight, but he was breaking down. That to me seemed like somebody that was going through some PTSD. Seriously.
Yeah, that's.
None of us are mental health professionals or body language experts, for the record, but.
Nope.
But yeah, I mean, I'm gonna have to agree with you. I've seen PTSD before, and I'm seeing this kid seems to get triggered every single time they play audio footage of whatever's going on there.
Yeah.
So it's bad, I'm just not seeing. I'm not seeing the prosecution's argument that this is some malicious kid that was out to hurt people.
No,
just not seeing that.
Mm-mm.
He's no malicious kid. If he was, he would have no remorse. He wouldn't be crying at all. And then people would have a reason to put him away.
I feel like he was just trying to play hero at the time. That's all. And he felt good about it because it was his community. And then,
Yeah, and I think there's a part of that too. I think he was just trying to play hero. I think that he was trying to, satisfy certain grand jurious
seemed like
fantasies. I get that.
Yeah,
but I don't think that he was out to hurt anyone.
No,
I think that
not at all.
I think that his heart was in the place of wanting to help people, and I feel like he has some insecurities where he felt an overwhelming need to be helpful and be seen as some sort of hero in some way, shape, or form. I think he definitely entertained those kind of fantasies. Sure,
absolutely.
But I mean,
why would he be walking around?
Doesn't?
Why would he be walking around yelling medical, medical? Anybody need medical? Anybody need medical?
Right.
He was walking around the streets.
The mindset of wanting to help people. His actions dictated that of somebody who was trying to be helpful. And Nerdess Newsstands in the house. What's up? She's trying to get some pussy. Let's be honest. That's not uncommon from a 17-year-old either. But I don't think that he was. I don't think that in his mind. Let's be honest. Okay, let's explore Tristan's. Let's explore Tristan's little theory here. Now, was that probably happening? Sure, I think that's probably the case. But I don't think that in his mind he was like, I'm going to go out and shoot a bunch of people to get some pussy. That's not what he was doing.
Exactly.
He was like, I'm going to go be a hero and help people. And, because that's what impresses girls nowadays. Girls aren't impressed by tough guys. You know what I'm saying?
No.
You know,
Yeah.
girls like the guy that's buried
They
his
like a
head in
bad
books
boy.
and he's scrubbing graffiti off the walls. That's what's getting the pussy, not
Yeah.
fucking carrying a
Yes,
gun. And,
yes.
you know what I mean?
The
That's
sensitive guys.
yeah, they like the sensitive
They
guys.
want
The guys,
someone who actually
The-
has
the
feelings.
musicians.
And is,
yeah,
you know,
Mister,
like
Mister, I'm
that.
Play the
scrubbing graffiti
guitar
off the walls, and then when
sing
there's a
to you.
poem, there's a poem of graffiti. There's a poem spray painted in graffiti. He's like, I think I'll leave that up. That's nice. But I'm gonna scrub everything else around it. Get it nice and clean.
This is what they want right here, man.
Yeah. All right, guys.
gonna
So I'm gonna
shoot
go ahead and call it.
And get some pussy tonight.
Okay.
Any burglar that I probably covered on my channel would probably not be doing that shit just to get pussy. Like, okay.
All right.
No. Kyle wasn't out there to get that. He was trying to be a hero, and, well,
Yeah.
I guess it didn't go so well because he actually had to be doing some self-defense. But hopefully they acquit him, because if they
And if
find
he
him
was
guilty,
trying to
I'm
get
gonna
pussy
be-
that night, let's be honest, Tristan, if he was actually trying to get pussy that night, he would have been with the protesters. He wouldn't have been
showing his
you know what I'm
wares.
saying? Like, he wouldn't have been standing there with a gun hanging out with a bunch of
No.
dudes talking about
Probably would have been showing his wares and other things.
He wouldn't have been,
you-
yeah. He wouldn't have been sitting there trying to impress a bunch of older dudes, you know. Like
You know, it'd be crazy if he was just
Yeah.
wearing a Speedo and nothing else.
Yeah, there's no
Standing amongst the
women.
crowd.
This guy is world famous now, and there's no women going, God, man, I hope he's single. They're not doing that. The only women that are looking at him in favor right now are going, this poor baby, this poor
No.
kid.
I'm like, oh,
Yeah, that's all he's getting.
oh, look at him. He looks like
Yeah.
a baby.
He's adorable. He's adorable.
You know what? I was
If there
wondering.
are-
I noticed your dogs are sleeping. I was wondering where that snoring was coming
Oh.
from earlier, man.
Yeah, that's
I got a fat black cat named
that's
Speedy.
the
and he
mix between
snores.
them snoring and my stomach growling, and I'm just a big fucking mess. But I am gonna call this, guys. I'm gonna go ahead and
All right.
end it here.
Yeah.
But
Thanks
I
for
appreciate
having me
Bye.
on, man.
Goodbye,
yeah, no, I
all.
appreciate you being on the panel.
Hey,
Yeah, I've
do
been
this
following this
anytime,
case
assuming I'm not
for a
working.
while.
Yeah, I'll
I am making
probably
videos, but yeah,
we'll probably hopefully there's a verdict back later on
I'd like to see
today,
the verdict. Yeah.
and I'll
Yeah,
I'll do a
that's-
live stream later on tonight.
Cool.
And
Yeah, I'm doing one with Keely at about 5:30. So,
Oh, right on.
Yeah. It's gonna be free card readings. So if y'all want to go check that
Ooh.
out, Keely Talks, man.
Card readings. Ooh.
Card reading
Yeah.
sounds fun.
They're
All
fun, and her voice is so soothing.
Yeah,
You'll
it
love
is.
Mhm.
It is. So yeah, guys, subscribe to Keely Talks and your boy Gary and Mr. Harlan's
Hello.
Yes.
whatever the hell is that channel's name.
Tales of History's Famous Burglars. And then you said
Tales of
burgers.
History's Famous Burglars.
I remember you said burgers.
Yeah,
The
because you were
Hamburglar.
hungry.
I mean, that's what's always on my mind, man. I'm always thinking about burgers, dude. Like, I
Hey.
want a burger right now.
I
I
might-
can't do it.
I've actually thought
I gotta
about
go do
making an
cardio
April
instead.
Fool's video. You know, I've seen other people do it. You know what? Shit, if I do an April Fool's video, there you go, Hamburglar. There you go. There you go.
That's what
There
made
you
me
go.
think of it.
Just wear the
No.
stripes, man. You gotta wear the
Yeah.
stripes and the hat.
He's stealing other people's burgers. Mm-hmm.
All right. All right. I'm ending it. I'll see you guys later.
Y'all have a good
Love you
day.
guys. Talk to you soon. We will do
And
this
remember-
very soon, my friends.
Good night.